Hello everyone and welcome to this video lecture series in which we are talking about neural networks and deep learning. So what we have seen in the previous video lecture is that we have applied the gradient descent method over a single training example, and for doing this we have find out the derivative of the loss function, or what we often call the loss function as the error function. Now, in this video lecture, we are going to apply the gradient descent method over all the M training example. Here, M is the number of training examples that we have. And in this video lecture also, we are going to find the gradient descent using the computation graph. And in the computation graph, we are going to use the backward propagation method, in which we are going to find out the derivatives with respect to the intermediate variables. Okay, so now let us continue. So what we have the logistic regression on M training example. And for logistic regression with M training example, we generally define a cost function as J of W comma B, where W and B are our parameters. That is 1 upon M over the M training example, that is average over the M training example, that goes from I equal to 1 to M. And here is our loss function, and we are defining the loss function over the ith training example. So this is the notation that I would write: a of I comma y of I, because this corresponds to ith training example. Okay, so I have written this ith training example. And so we have this cost function. After this cost function, we have our final output, that is the predicted output, in the form of AI. Okay, which we often write it as y hat of I. So this is the predicted outcome for ith training example, and this is often written as sigma z of I. And z of I can be further broken down into the term w transpose x of I plus b. Okay, so here x is the features. Okay, and we are corresponding only to a single training example here. So since we are finding the gradient descent using the backward propagation in the computation graph, so in backward computation what we generally do is we need to find the derivative of the final cost function with respect to the intermediate variables. Suppose we take here the intermediate variables as w1, w2 and b are the intermediate variables. So what we can do here, we can write the derivatives d of w1 as d of j of w comma b upon dw1 is equal to 1 upon m summation of I equal to 1 to m d upon d of w1 and j of a of I comma y of I. Okay, so this would be my derivative of the final cost function corresponding to the ith training example and with respect to the intermediate variable w1. So this I would term as dw1. Okay, this notation we have already studied earlier, and this is corresponding to ith training example. So ith training example can be represented as xi comma yi, where x is the input features and y is the output. Okay, so you're all clear about the notations and what we have written in this slide. So let us continue. So whenever we apply the computation graph, that is we are here to find the gradient descent over M training example. So what we need to do is we need to apply a for loop, because we have several steps for doing it for a single training example, and again we have to apply those steps to M training examples. So what we will do, we will use a for loop here. So suppose we take the initial values of the final output, that is the final cost function, as 0, we have the initial value of dw1 as 0, and we take the initial value of dw2 as 0. Also we take the initial value of db as 0. Okay, because further we are updating the values based on these initial values only. So you can take any initial value, but for reference here, for simplification, I have taken the values of dw1, dw2 and db as 0. So while applying the for loop, because we are iterating over all the m training example, so it will start from I equal to 1 and will go up to m. Okay, so now what we have an equation z of I that is equal to w transpose x of I plus b. We have already studied about this, and if I have z of I, then I can predict the outcome as a of I that is equal to y hat of I that is equal to sigma of z of I. Okay, this also we have studied earlier. And if I have z of I and a of I, then we can also write j as, now since I am updating j, I have the initial value of j as 0, and now using the cost function or loss function, I would be updating the value of j. So my j would become j plus equal to minus sign in common yi log a of I plus 1 minus y of I log 1 minus a of I. Okay, so in this way I'll update the value of j. Okay, so now after updating the value of j, what I can write is I can find the differentiation of the final cost function with respect to the intermediate variable z, and the differentiation would be like dz of I that is equal to a of I minus y of I. So this is the differentiation of the final cost function with respect to the intermediate variable z, and this we are considering it only for the ith training example. Now what we have the intermediate variables w1 and w2 and b. So according to those variables also we would be updating our final cost function. So let us update with respect to the intermediate variable w1. So it will be d of w1 plus equal to x1 of I into dz of I. And for variable w2, it would be d of w2 equal to d of w2 plus equal to x2 of I dz of I. And for updating the cost function with respect to the intermediate variable b, it would be db plus equal to dz of I. Okay, and now finally, after moving out from the for loop, what we'll do, we'll calculate the final value of j as an average value. So it would be j divide equal to m, since we are calculating the average value of j over the m training examples. And finally we could calculate the value of dw1 as dw1 slash equal to m. Also calculating the value of dw2 slash equal to m, and db as slash equal to m. So what we have done is we have calculated the average final value of j as dividing it by m, because there are m number of training examples. And similarly we have done for the derivatives dw1, dw2 and db also. Okay, so one thing to discuss about here is that we have already studied about the notation d of w1, d of w2 and d of w3. So let's have a quick revision about this. So basically dw1 represents d of j upon d of w1, and similarly for dw2 as d of j upon dw2. I should write 1 here, and db would represent d of j upon db here. Okay, so these notations have to be seriously kept in mind. Also, one thing to notice is that after doing all these calculation, what you need to do again, you need to update the parameters. Okay, so w1, w2 and b are our parameters or the intermediate variable, and finally you need to update those also. So what my updation steps would be, w1 colon equal to w1 minus alpha times of dw1, and similarly updating w2 as w2 colon equal to w2 minus alpha times of dw2, and finally updating b as b colon equal to b minus alpha times of db. So these are the three crucial steps that we need to perform, okay, after calculating the value of dw1, dw2 and db. Okay, so now in this way we can find the logistic regression or the gradient over the logistic regression over all the M training examples. Okay, because also we need to see here that we have extensively used the for loop for finding the gradient descent over all the training M training example. But often we have told in the previous video lecture that if we use for loops or any kind of loop, then it would gradually increase the complexity of our algorithm and coding. So using for loop is not quite an effective method while coding. So what we would do, we would often use a concept known as vectorization in Python, and using vectorization we can solve this problem very effectively, as vectorization would not require any kind of for loops, because what the problem is, the one for loop is applied over here and the another for loop would be applied over here. Why? Because here we are only having two features, that is w1 and w2, but suppose that we have n number of features as w3, w4, that goes up to wn. So what we need to do, we need to apply a for loop here also for y equal to 1 to n, for we have n number of features. So there would be two for loops, so the complexity of algorithm would drastically increase, and to reduce this complexity we use a concept known as vectorization. So whenever we will use vectorization, you would see that no for loop would be required. Okay, so vectorization is a very effective method that we will be using in the next video lecture. Also, if you have not understood much about what I am teaching you in these video lecture, so you don't need to worry much about it, because whenever we'll do a practical implementation of all these concepts using the programming techniques, then you will effectively understand what has been taught here. But before understanding about the programming concept, we need to first look over the concept of vectorization, because after using vectorization we don't need to apply for loops extensively, and our algorithm will become very much simple, and the complexity of the algorithm would reduce drastically. Okay, so this much for today in this video lecture. Thanks for watching this video. I hope this video would have been very much informative to you. Also, if your friends are working on this field of neural networks and deep learning, so don't forget to share these videos with them also. Don't forget to like this video. Also, you can appreciate me by writing comments on the comment section. If you have any doubt regarding my videos, so there is a Google form updated over to you in the description section of this video. So you can fill that Google form. Thank you so much.